We're good.
Okay. So here's the Thanksgiving joke.
They're so stupid.
Okay. What did the turkey say to the computer?
What did the turkey say to the computer?
Google. I don't even know why it's that funny.
Okay. What sound does a limping turkey make?
What sound does a limping
Turkey make?
Oh.
Wobble wobble. That's all we got.
We're just so pitiful. Hey,
terrible.
you got a better joke? Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments.
We'll take it.
Those are pretty impressive, I thought. Pretty impressive.
What would you say, Pam, some of the things that could be very influential?
Who influences me right now? I would say your children, your spouse, your coworkers, people you spend the most time with. Parents, grandparents, if you still have them. Because when you're a child, it's your parents. They're the biggest influence, right? Your siblings, your parents, because they're the ones that raised you. Then you go off to school. If you go to public school or private school, then you have that. And then as you get older, you transition into like workplace and you're around those people so much. So for me, that's the people I would say influence me the most right now.
Yeah, so definitely who you're doing life with, right?
Doing life with.
Or, what is feeding your soul, feeding your head, feeding your heart,
time with.
things like that. So, because I think about social media. I think about how much time we spend, and we're all guilty of it, spend on social media. Some of us less than others because we don't have the time. Like,
That's
you
true.
work and you get tired, you just don't put the time into it. But when you're on social media, the things that influence you there, like what do you gravitate to? Do you gravitate to short reels of people's lives? Do you want to know what's going on in other people's lives or just in the world in general? Or are you like more of an entertainment person where you just like music and movie stars and things like that? Because there's so many outside sources that are...
So much media.
So much media.
It could suck you in. But it could be hours. It can just bring you, just pull you in.
You don't even realize it.
No.
You don't realize it. So a long time ago, we were sitting down watching a movie. Rob and I were sitting down watching a movie, and it was, I don't know, I always call them shoot 'em up movies. Just where there's a bad guy and a good guy, and they're going after him, and there's just a lot of violence, and it wasn't real gory, but it had that feel of violence in it, And I can remember just getting anxious on the couch. I can remember thinking, I got to turn this off, and it doesn't bother him. He can shut it down. Like it just doesn't influence him that much,
Everybody's different.
And I carried that like to bed. I couldn't get that out of my mind. I kept thinking, what if that happens to my family? What if that? I mean, it became real to me, and I didn't realize how strong of an influence just that one type of TV movie or whatever would do it. And I noticed that over the years, because this was like a long time ago, but I noticed over the years that I have to really guard my eyes and my heart of what I watch on TV. And I mean, I had this discussion with many people, and some people, like I said, can be like, oh, that doesn't affect me.
Right, because it don't for everybody.
It doesn't. But me, it does. So I think even the influence, whether it's culture, your family, or whatever, I think every one of us take it in differently. Like we can take so much of one thing, but other things we can't. We don't know how to process
We're
it.
wired differently, for sure.
Definitely.
And also, like, if you're around somebody who's negative all the time, if somebody's just negative, boy, that can wear you down also.
Yeah.
And then you start becoming negative, right? And negative starts coming out of you, or just you're not as cheerful or as hopeful as you used to be. So you have to really guard your heart and what you hear and who you hang out with, and yeah, that's really important. There's so many things that can influence us. Of course, number one should be Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's our number one.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that kind of influence.
Can't go wrong with him.
I think a lot of people have the wrong idea about that. Like, I remember there was a book that came out years ago that was called Jesus Freaks. Do you remember that?
Yeah, like DC Talk, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was a book, I think it was about missionaries, if I remember correctly. But, and they get that term because, every time the name Jesus Christ came up, it was literally mocked and made fun of because no one knows any different. And so they would actually call you a Jesus freak. And that's kind of where that title comes from.
That's true.
He's kind of got a bad rep.
Right.
And boy, I mean, if you got to know him, if you really got to know who he was and watched his life and what he did and how much he loved people and still loves people, I think you're your idea of him would definitely change. You'd want to adapt that influence. You'd want that influence. But when you don't really know much about that person, you really don't gravitate to that person.
That's very true.
Especially if your influence in the past has been negative about that. You're not going to turn that on. You're not going to listen to people about it, because that's going to sound either religious or, freaky.
Right.
Or I remember when
Weirdos.
Oh,
Those
totally.
weirdos.
When I was first introduced to church, a lot of the talk around me was very, what do we call it, Christianese?
Oh, for sure, yes.
Yeah.
Christianese.
So I was around new influence, right? I was around just a different type of people that I had never been around before. And they would say things like, well, I was saved by the blood of the Lamb. And
I was slain.
that's right, I was slain by the blood of the Lamb. And it would freak me out. I'd be like, do you guys have lambs in your backyard and you barbecue them after you kill them? I didn't understand any of that. It totally went over my head and freaked me out.
Yeah, it's different.
And so when people think about the Bible and that kind of influence, it's like Shakespeare to them. I don't want to read anything I can't understand. But if you understood the culture and you understood just the message of love in it, and you could get someone who could interpret it for you, I think your ideology,
would change.
your impression would change with that, and that would be what you would gravitate to, because really that's where hope is.
Oh, yeah.
And remains and never changes.
Because you can't put your hope in anybody in this world besides Jesus. I mean, you can be hopeful for a good day at work, or being with your family, or being with your spouse, or being with your whoever, anybody in your family, but they're going to let you down because they're human. Yeah. Just like we're going to let them down because we're human.
Totally.
Like, they cannot pull through for us 100%. Only God can.
Only God can. And
But we're so easily influenced by so many other voices.
Yeah, we are. Especially this time of year,
where
the traditions that have really become, what's the word I'm trying to say? They've become holy. I mean, and I don't mean it in the biblical sense. Like,
no,
if you don't do this tradition, you're just not Christmassy. Or
the expectations.
The expectations are
too much.
They're just too much.
I get overwhelmed just walking. Like, if you walk into Walmart or you walk into Target just to go buy a few things. Not even Christmas. We're not even talking Christmas. Just to go grocery shopping or whatever, picking up a few things.
Right.
So if I do go shopping, I usually write a list. This is what I'm going in for.
That's good.
And if there's anything else that's going to strike me beyond that, at least I know what I came in there for.
Yeah.
And I can think
Stay
about
focused.
it. Stay focused.
Because, it's like when you go in there and you don't have a list, and you're not prepared to just get focused on what you want to get and get out, you're going to be so influenced by everything around you, all the busyness, that when you get out to your car, I almost feel like, oh my gosh, I need a nap, or I need some sort of therapy, because you take that with you. You don't mean to, but you take everything in that atmosphere with you. And you have to learn how do I change that? How do I dial that down?
Right. Just some peace and quiet in your life.
Yeah.
When I got sick, and so I had to be home all the time. I had a 4-hour window a day that I could actually go somewhere. And I thought initially, I am going to freak out, because I was always we went everywhere. We did everything. We were busy, right?
Yeah, all the time. We
were
doing
something. Busy with kids, and busy with life, and busy with church, and busy with just anything we could do. We were doing it.
Yeah.
Good or bad. We probably shouldn't have been doing all that. You could do a whole lot of good things, but for example, I remember being at church. We were working at church, and we were doing a good thing, and it was Sunday, and I was there all day, and after church, I was there all afternoon, and I'm like, it's my son's birthday. I have to leave. Wow. I have to go spend time with him. And this was church. I was at church, but no, you need to have those times to retreat away and to be quiet. I mean, Jesus Christ did it himself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that time when I had to stay home and I had to be quiet, I have learned to really enjoy quiet.
Yeah, that's good. So
peace.
But there again, the influence of the culture that you're in at the time,
right?
They may not even say anything to you like you have to do that, but somehow we have this idea that we have to do it. If we see somebody doing something, we have to do that.
Right.
If we see somebody buying something, we have to buy that. We're going somewhere, we have to go there. And they're not even necessarily telling us that, but it's just some weird thing that we feel like we have to do it.
We need those things.
Yeah, we need those things, and we have to do those things. And man, that's deception.
That
is deception. There's nothing wrong with those individual things, but when you feel like you got to do it all, and you start comparing yourself, I have to do those traditions. I have to be like those people. I have to work like those people. I have to do all this. You are going to put yourself in a horrible pit.
Oh,
a
definitely.
Horrible pit.
Very exhausted.
Yeah, you're going to be exhausted. You're possibly going to get depressed. And
broke.
and broke. Oh my gosh, let's not forget about that one. Totally.
I forgot where I was at recently, and they had all those, they call cocoa bombs. You know what I'm talking about? They're like a the big ball that you put in. But they had all these different kinds, right? And you can make your own. And there was just like, it was a Target. And it was my mom and my sister. And there was all these different kinds. And I'm like, oh, like I guess I need these. I'm like, I don't need these. I don't even know what this is. But like there was so many, and everybody was like buying these cocoa bombs. Oh, maybe we should make these, and maybe this is something. No, I don't even really drink cocoa. So like, but like it was all in your face.
Yeah, I can remember going to the grocery store as a kid, and there would be white bread and wheat bread on the shelf. That was it. And sometimes my mom would say, we're going to get wheat bread today. And I'm like, wheat bread instead of white bread? I mean, and now, look at the bread shelf. Look at the deodorants. The
toothpaste.
The toothpaste and the deodorants, that's overwhelming to me.
Is.
You stand there and you just look at everything like, I just want some deodorant.
I know.
I don't know why all these, like...
Too many choices.
Third world countries, they sometimes don't even have deodorant, and we have all this stuff we have to choose from. And
it's funny you said it, because once upon a time, it was back when we were all at Calvary, and there was somebody there that he had went to Africa. And when he was in Africa, he went to the store and bought a pen because he needed a pen. And then he came home and he was like at Walmart to get a pen. And there was an entire section of pens. And he was like, how many pens can there be? But I mean, until he left and went someplace else where there was a pen you could buy or a pencil you could buy. And then you come here and it's just insane.
Speaking of like in social media influencers,
right?
Did I say that right? There's one that I follow, and she was talking about how traditions, this is a season that could possibly be a season of us breaking some of those traditions. And at first when she was saying it, she's like, now this doesn't mean you have to. I'm not telling you have to go out and change everything, because some of those traditions mean something to you.
Right.
Because they remind you of, family members that are not around anymore or whatever that is. And she was celebrating that part of it. She was not like saying traditions are bad. But she was talking about the way the economy is, and just, how important how much emphasis we should put more on family because of the way things are now, like maybe we should kind of re-navigate. And I remember the first year I decided not to mail Christmas cards.
Oh gosh, don't do that. I don't do that. Yeah.
I thought, I know, but I thought it was the most terrible person on the face of the earth because I did not mail a Christmas card. Nothing against people that mail Christmas cards. I still enjoy getting them.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I don't get as many of them since I don't mail. Mail a lot of them out. But at the time, I couldn't go out and buy all those stamps.
No.
And even though I could get cards at cheaper stores, it was still a lot of cards. And then you had to determine who you couldn't, if you wanted to dial it down, who you didn't send a card to. And who you did send. It became so much.
I'm
like, I have got to let that go.
And then the person you decide, I guess I don't need to send them one. They send you one.
Oh yeah, and the family
photo.
And
then it's like at the last minute, and so by then Christmas is over.
Oh yeah, and they're getting the card like
so you're scrambling for like a Happy New Year card. There's people like that I used to not see for long periods of time, and I would always like write a big letter in there. Of course, now with Facebook and texting, that's all changed.
Sure.
But back in the day, if somebody lived in another state and you never seen them, that's how you communicated. You wrote that letter. You sat down. I would mail like 50 Christmas cards at least, and I always had my address book, and I'd go through it every year, and I would. But it was sadly every year you'd cross somebody off because somebody had passed away, right? But then you maybe had somebody new that you sent it to. But then writing all those letters, and then
ask yourself what you do that you actually do for somebody else instead of yourself. Like, am I doing that for them? Am I doing that because they do it, or am I doing that to please them?
Boy,
your mental health is really worth evaluating all the things that you do. And like I said, and like this YouTuber said that I follow, if this certain traditions are important to you because of family, well, keep them up because they're important to you and they remind you of them. But the things that you do just because everybody else is doing it or because it's on your list that you have to do, maybe rethink that this year. Because I think this is a really good season that we're in, that if you do start to rethink things, I think everybody's going to be in the same boat as you, and you'd be really surprised, I think, how many people would feel like, I'm glad somebody said that. I'm glad somebody suggested that. I'm glad somebody else did that, so I don't
That's
feel
very
so bad.
true. I was with my daughters last week, and they were talking about, Thanksgiving is actually really an underrated holiday because as far as like the world goes, okay, buy your turkey, your stuffing, get your pumpkin pie, we're moving on, we're going to be open at midnight, come on in and go shopping for Christmas. But like, like Thanksgiving just has to do with getting together with your family or whoever you're with, right? And being thankful, and hanging out together. It has nothing to do with how many gifts I can buy and how many cards I can mail and what tree I can put up, and like, you know, it's just being thankful for what you have the most to you.
I think that is the question. What is it that keeps your mental health at a very stable level? What is it for you? Because it's going to be different for you than it is for us or for anybody else. And so I think it's going to be easy for you to determine it, because you're going to be in an atmosphere where the blood pressure is going to rise, or you're going to feel anxious or just stressed out, or you might even get angry. Catch yourself in that moment and be like, okay, why am I like this? What is it in this atmosphere that I can change? And some atmospheres, unfortunately, you can't change. Like when I go to the dentist, I can't change that atmosphere. I'm anxious and white knuckling the armrest.
I don't
no
like it.
matter what. You know, like when you took your pet to the vet
And they're
for the first
scared.
time, and every time after that they shiver. You know, when you pull in the vet parking lot, like, how do they even know we're
I
here?
know, how do you know
Right?
that?
That's me when I go to the dentist.
Yeah, I don't like it
So
either. I don't like the
I just,
dentist.
and I know my daughters love the dentist. They love going to, but they've never had any dental trauma. Like I took
Get a crown and tell me what if you like the dentist.
Yeah, go to a dentist that doesn't believe in Novocaine when you're a kid, you know? Then you'll have dental trauma, right? Now I go in there and I'm in the atmosphere I can't change. So I have to do something. I have to be intentional about doing something that helps me.
That's to help
cope
you
with it.
relax,
Right. So I tell them that, you know, this is the deal. I know this is an old story. You've heard this a lot from people, but I've had dental trauma and I get really anxious. So if there's anything that you can do, or this is what bothers me, or this sound bothers me, and I am telling you what, they cater.
That's
They're
good.
like, okay, here's the deal. We're just going to walk you through this.
That's good.
And this is how we're going to do it. And then it relaxed me a little bit. So find that coping mechanism. What is that? Is that a conversation you have to have with somebody before because you can't change your atmosphere? Or is that an atmosphere that you just need to eliminate? Like, I don't want to eliminate the dentist. So I had to do something different. But I can eliminate going into a store on a Saturday afternoon, a grocery store at 2 o'clock. I might force myself to get up a little earlier to go in at 7 or 8 when it's not so crowded.
You know, another thing, which I don't think they have, this is not as much anymore, but back when our kids were younger, you had the big ads, right? The newspaper with all the Black Friday ads.
And the catalogs that came in the mail.
And the catalogs. But those ads, they were like, it was so thick, the paper was so thick, and everybody had a sale, and it was like, oh, you had to go here and here, and all these sales. I remember even saying to you, okay, it's okay, because there's always going to be another sale. Yeah. Like if I don't get that sale, there's going to be another one.
It's imperative that we really stop long enough to figure out what is it that I can do differently that will keep me a little more peaceful.
Like, decide for yourself what you're going to do and follow through with that. Write it down if you have to. That way you know this is what I'm going to do this year, you know.
That's good.
And there's some traditions that you still love. Like we like to do the gingerbread houses. But like and then we have like the glue guns and we cheat and we have a great time.
Yeah, we do cheat with glue guns.
Yes.
And I got a better glue gun this year.
You do?
Yeah, not to interrupt you. I want you to finish.
Is it cordless? Because those would be just fantastic. But
dang. I didn't get a cordless one.
I don't
but
know.
Donna's got a better one. She said she's got some sort of industrial one. I don't know. I actually have some new and creative ideas that I think I'm getting excited about.
That's good.
So I'm going to bring them. Are you scared? I'm bringing them.
I haven't even thought
bringing
about
them.
gingerbread house.
And I asked that because we're always competing. Everybody competes to see whose gingerbread house will win that year.
Eating the candy while you're putting it together. You don't eat the candy that has the glue on it.
No.
Bread house is a fun thing that we all get together and we laugh and we celebrate and we celebrate our friendship, and it's a fun thing to do. Yeah. You know, and maybe that might not always be. Right. Maybe we'll change it and we'll do something else one day.
But even in those times that we do that, and we try to do it every year, right? But even in those moments, like last year, I didn't do a gingerbread house.
Right.
I showed up and I just walked around and looked at everybody else's and I talked and whatever. But I mean, that was my choice.
The last couple of years, what's helped us is that everything's always planned on a weekend. Right? Yeah. There's only so many weekends in December. So the last couple of years, we've done it during the week. Why not? Like, I know you have to go to work the next day or we have school the next day or whatever.
Don't stay out as late.
Don't stay out as late. But just do it anyway. Do it on the, that makes a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. It makes it fun because you had a really good time.
We talked about how I'm an organizer, right? And I love to purge things. And I don't want to say every season, every year. I mean, I do this on a daily basis. Like, I purge things. And one of the things that I actually had to purge a couple months ago was my digital media. So thinking about like all the stuff you have, like all the apps on your phone and all the photos and videos. Now, I'm a grandma, so I have a lot of photos, right? I got a lot of videos. what is that reminder that comes up? You know, your storage is getting full.
Oh,
You need to buy more
right.
storage. But I had already started something with my iPhone, so I
Okay.
already did the Apple.
The cloud, and the
I don't know.
Apple
Yeah,
Pay
sure,
thing,
that
like
thing.
99 cents some
Yeah,
month for
yeah,
extra.
yeah.
I got
for extra
that.
storage. So
I
it's
got
telling
that.
me that my storage is full again, and it wants me to pay more money. I'm like, no, I don't care if it's another 99 cents. I'm not doing it because that's just telling me I'm putting way too much storage.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my phone. And so my son-in-law gave me this hard drive thing that holds like a bazillion. Like he said, you'll never fill it. And I also unsubscribed to a lot of things I was subscribing to, and I unfollowed a lot of those, those social media people that you want to follow. And I thought, what do I really need to keep watching? What is constantly showing up on my feed that, oh no, I got to watch it because I follow it. It's the
Right.
new one. About that. Think about things that pop up on your screen that make you feel like you have to click on it, right?
Okay, I would say for my phone, it's email, because like when you look at your phone, there's like it's lit up like you have 50 emails or whatever. And what I really need to do is go through and because like all the Black Friday stuff, because like if you go to Bath and Body, hey, sign up for our emails, right? So they just email. I need to go and unsubscribe to all that, because every time there's like a bunch of emails, I'm always like, I gotta. And even though I don't really most of the time even read through them, it's just delete. But why don't I just get rid of it?
Just unsubscribe.
Yeah,
but seriously, unsubscribing, or don't subscribe to begin with, or sometimes
Don't give everybody your email.
I mean, if you can't order something or you can't look at something without creating an account,
Right.
create a fake account.
Just,
Don't give them a real address, a real email address. Yeah, I said that. I mean, you can do that, and that way
true.
you're not bombarded with all of that.
as long as your home address is correct, so you can get the package.
Well, that's if you're actually ordering something, you might want to make sure your home address is correct. But
You send it to me. I give you my address. Buy something real nice.
come up, and in this season, when according to our faith and belief, the most important thing we want to celebrate during the Christmas season is the birth of Jesus Christ. And
Right.
everything else wants to come in and say, but this is more important. And we still, talk about Santa to the little ones, and we still do other little traditions, and we're not anti-tradition.
No.
It's just
I love all of that.
we want to make sure our focus stays where it was supposed to stay for us, what we believe and what we want to celebrate.
Right.
And everything else that compiles onto that, we need to figure out what to get rid of. And so we just challenge you, do that for yourself, just figure out what's important for you and really stick to that, and give yourself an emotion check. Like, what is your blood pressure check?
Blood pressure. Go
you
take
get
your
it
blood
done.
pressure. It's like keeping that joy in the season. And joy doesn't mean just always laughing, because joy is also so many things, right?
We said joy is not happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
They're two different things.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Just keeping that joy and focus in your season.
And that's what joy is. It's focusing on the good.
Right.
It's not so much, haha, I'm laughing all the time and I'm happy all the time. You can be really struggling. I was struggling the other day. Really hard. I was really in a funk where I thought, I am going to just completely lose it here in just a second and start crying. I mean, it was that bad. And I had to just walk away from the scene, and I had to go remove myself from the situation. And I prayed. I asked God, can you please help me? I have to go back into this situation.
Right.
And it's really hard right now. I need to know how to do this. And He just helps. I can't tell you how He does it. He just does it. I don't hear the audible voice of God. I feel the impression of His heart. I feel the reminders. I remember the things that I read about Him, and that comes back to my mind, and He reminds me, do you remember what I said was important? Do you remember what I said about joy? Do you remember what I said about how you don't have to have everything perfect, and you don't have to be the perfect person, because no one's perfect except for Jesus.
Right.
No one is. So don't.
So,
All right.
anyway, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Yes.
Enjoy
it. Enjoy the presence of your family and the joy of the Lord, right?
Yeah. Enjoy.
Yes.
Be in joy.
Enjoy. And eat and wear stretchy pants.
And stretchy pants. Totally.
All
right.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.
Making those lists and checking them twice to find out who's naughty or nice.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Not until turkey comes first.
Yeah, right. Let the turkey come to town first.
Yeah.
There it is.
What is it? Google. And then what's
Does the limping turkey make wobble wobble? Okay, you want to do the Google because you're more the computer person. I'm more
We do both of them.
I'm more with the people with the wobble
Well,
wobble.
oh, you want me to
do
say
that
one?
one first,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I'll do the other one. Because you're more the techie, and I'm more
Okay.
the wobble. 'Cause
Okay.
I have to deal with people that are wobbling at work.
Okay. So
Oh,
here.
wait.
Yeah, get your get your mic
Get your
on.
microphone.
Okay.